The Kansas City Chiefs are leading the AFC West by 2 games after beating the Jacksonville Jaguars 27-17 in Week 10 at Arrowhead Stadium. They have that 2-game lead with a 7-2 record over the 5-4 Los Angeles Chargers, who they will see for the second time this year. And this time it's at SoFi Stadium. It is a rematch of their Week 2 clash, which the Chiefs won 27-24 on Thursday Night Football. This one on Sunday Night Football. And the Chiefs look to continue their winning ways. They've won 3 in a row. And at SoFi Stadium, they have never lost. Never played the Rams there. Have never lost to the Chargers since they moved into the building. This is a really interesting game. For the Chargers, it's a must-win. If you're going to win the division, you have to have it. The Chargers, as I mentioned earlier, down 2 in the division, already lost to the Chiefs. If they lose this game, Kansas City will be 3 up with 7 to play and holding the breaker. Barring disaster, the Chiefs would walk to the finish line in the AFC West. The Chargers would then be 5-5 and would be compelled to fight it out for an AFC wildcard berth. It would be a dogfight. And look, let's be realistic. It's already looking that way for the Chargers. Even if they win this game, there's still a game back. The tiebreaker is unsure because obviously you have more games to play and you know that head-to-head you split. But the Chiefs have an easier schedule than the Chargers moving forward. And so one would imagine that the Chiefs probably still win the division, but this would all but finish the job. This would be the end of the line for LA in the AFC West. Denver and the Raiders, of course, long gone already. So what are you looking for in this game as we preview it? Well, Herbert has had a year where he has not done a whole hell of a lot. You know, he comes into this game very much a limited passer in terms of yards per attempt, barely over 6 yards an attempt. He has thrown 7 picks on the year. He has not been dynamic. He is not creating the big play. Against San Francisco, he went 21-35, 5.6 yards an attempt, a touchdown and a pick. Got sacked twice. Look, if you look at Herbert's numbers, early in the year, that yards per attempt, you want to be 7 and up, right? 8.2 against the Raiders, 7 even against the Chiefs, 6.6 in a ball loss to Jacksonville, but then back to 8.7. Since then, last 5 weeks, brutal. 6.7, 4.2, 5.7, 5.7, 5.6, and he's thrown a pick in each of his last 4 games. That's not good enough, not by a long shot, and it certainly won't be good enough against a Chiefs team that you figure will score some points. The last time these teams saw each other, the Chiefs only scored 20 offensive points, but the defense for the Chargers looking a lot different. Joey Bosa, out for this game as he continues to come back from a groin injury. J.C. Jackson, out for the year, got injured a few weeks ago. And so those are 2 of the big players on that defense gone, out of the picture. The defensive line has been decimated for the Chargers. They've been rotating through guys. They cut Jerry Tillery, former first-round pick out of Notre Dame. It's a mash unit for the Chargers right now on defense. It's hard to see the Chargers having the same level of success that they had back in Week 2 when they helped hold the Chiefs down for a long time before Kansas City eventually went on and won the game with help from a 99-yard pick 6 from Jalen Watson. When you look at the Chargers, the rest of the offense, you see a team that, again, the explosiveness is not there, even though the names are. Austin Ekeler is leading the team by a wide margin in rushing yardage, but he's only got 3 explosive plays on the year. He has not been able to really get going. It's been a struggle for him this year. He was obviously, for a lot of people, a fantasy darling. He had a huge game back on October 9th against Cleveland. He ran for 173 yards on 10.8 yards per carry. Other than that, Eckler's yardage totals on the ground this year, not great. 36, 39, 5, 60, 36, 31, 47, and 24. So other than that explosion in Cleveland, he's rushed for 50 yards once in a game. Other than him, nothing doing in the backfield. Herbert is not a scrambler, only has 73 or so yards. Going into the San Francisco game, had 73 yards on the ground. He did pick up 22 in the Niners game. So all told, a year where he has not been able to get much going on the ground, which is not surprising. He's agile and he's mobile, but he's not a guy who's going to take off running. He's certainly not a Josh Allen, not a Lamar Jackson, not a Mahomes. He's not going to threaten you with his legs. And so with Herbert, even on a day where he runs for a lot of yards, his high this year is 22. He ran for 22 against the Niners. He ran for 22 against Seattle. Other than that, very, very rote yardage totals. He has some games which rush for 1 yard. He had one in -5. And so Eckler really is the guy you have to hone in on. The Chargers rushing for less than 4 yards per carry. Okay, so this is not a team that's going to gash you a lot. It's a team that's going to try to keep you honest with the run game. That's what to expect there. And then, listen, right now, the receiving core, it's been beat up. Mike Williams has been dealing with a high ankle sprain. He's missed the last couple of games. Keenan Allen has played 2 games, and he hasn't made it through halftime of either of them. He has been dealing with a hamstring injury. He has also missed the last couple of games. He played a half of football against Seattle in October. That's the last time we've seen Keenan Allen. It is unclear at this point if Allen or Williams, either or both, will play or not play on Sunday night. Obviously something to monitor, with those two being the top 2 weapons on Los Angeles. Outside of them, not anything to go crazy about. Joshua Palmer, DeAndre Carter. Carter gives you a little bit of speed. He had a touchdown catch going deep against the Niners. Palmer is more of a possession receiver. And then Gerald Everett, the tight end. Listen, a decent tight end, a quality tight end, on pace for about 700 yards. Certainly a guy to respect and to watch, but not a game breaker. And so when you're looking at the Chargers, it's a whole lot of guys who really, they don't threaten you vertically down the field. And that's partially the play calling by Joe Lombardi, the offensive coordinator, and that's partially the personnel. Defensively for the Chargers, Khalil Mack's had a great year. He has 7 sacks. Done a hell of a job. A lot of that without Bosa, who got hurt in week 3. Other than him, there's not a whole lot of pass rush with Bosa out. The Chargers, Derwin James is a guy that they'll blitz. Obviously a great player. Drew Tranquil, a linebacker who will come on the blitz. But that's pretty much it. I mean, you're not looking at much else otherwise. This is a team that, again, when you look at the Chargers, there's just not a lot of pass rush outside of Mack. Mack had the team's only sack against the 49ers. They only have 21 on the year. So early in the year, that tandem of Bosa and Mack was awesome. Hasn't been there. And without that tandem, if you can corral Mack, you have a pretty good shot. Now, the Chargers will move him around, but you could see him a lot going against the Chiefs' right side. They might try to take advantage, whether it's an injured Andrew Wiley who's dealing with the sprained elbow, or it's a backup. You could see the Chargers try to exploit the right side of that line, so it's something to keep an eye out for. And if you look back quickly at week 2, who had success for the Chargers in that game, right? If you look at the box score and you just want to try to get a quick reminder of it, Chargers didn't run the ball for anything. 75 yards on 3 yards of carry, no big deal. Herbert threw for 334, although some of that was in garbage time. 3 touchdowns and, of course, that pick 6. But when you look at the sacks, Mack had the only sack of the game. Now, the Chargers had pressure, a lot of it in the first half, dissipated in the second half. Chiefs got much, much better the second half of the game on both sides of the ball. And if you think back, Chiefs ran for 5.2 yards per carry in the game. Kelsey had 51 yards. Watson had 50. Harden had 49. Edwards-Helaire had 44. So it was a little bit done by committee. My expectations in this game, I think if you're the Chiefs, you try to achieve balance offensively. The Chargers are the worst team in the league in yards per carry against, well over 5.5. I think you try to take advantage of that with Pacheco and McKinnon, maybe mix in Clyde Edwards-Helaire a little bit here and there. I think that's a recipe for success, especially against a defensive line that has absolutely been decimated by injuries. It is not a great linebacking core. I think for the Chiefs, you relentlessly attack that front 7. It's a good way to slow Khalil Mack down. And then when you throw the ball, look, Kelsey has always had big games against the Chargers. I think he can have another one. There's no reason not to believe that. You wonder with the Chiefs, is Hardman going to be back? Will Juju be back? Unsure, but you have Kadarius Toney, who of course was not there in week 2. You have MVS. I would expect that the Chiefs will try to take a shot or two, but it'll be a lot of intermediate stuff, moving the chains. The Chiefs know that if they win this game, the division is over. The AFC West is done. I would expect Kansas City to give you an A+ game plan at SoFi on Sunday night.